Ramblin Bob here with another update to the Bluetti EB3A power station. Okay, so we got a few devices here. I want to put, let's see, let's put the 400 or 500 watt heater. I think that's 400. It's 400 watts up there. And you got a 200er here and another 200 here. Okay, you can almost see everything. Let me see if I can squeeze everything in this shot here. Alright, and put that bad boy there. And put this bad boy. Okay, hey, look at that, it all fits. Okay, so I want to do a couple of tests today on this system. I've had it for about a week now. Almost 2 weeks now. And I've been trying to see, well, let's start here. I'm still waiting for that light. Hopefully Bluetti will send me another one of those circuit boards so I can put it in there. Notice that the light does not turn on even though it's using the power. It actually burnt out in my first initial unboxing of this unit, and it was the first part of the review. Okay, so right now I'm going to test the solar power. So I have one panel coming in. It's a 200 watt Acopower 12 volt panel. It comes in an open voltage VOC at 22.57. If you can't read that, I'll read it for you. It's kind of hard to move because I have so many cables everywhere. So this is the string. This is the 7909 barrel that comes from this, goes around here, and then kind of loops, just because I'm really tight for space here on my workbench. All right, so we're going to plug that in. Let me go back this way. Put it this way, and then I'll plug it in here just so you can see how the solar reacts and what the voltage drops down to. Now remember, this is only from 12 to 28 volts input. Down here, sorry, 12 to 28 volts input. And then let's see here. So now it drops down to about 1950, 19 volts, 18 volts, 17 and a half. As you see, the power is coming in. We're getting about just under 80 watts. And it dropped down to approximately 17, not 16. I'll just let it finish here. About 17 volts. Now it's kind of early in the morning. I just wanted to, just kind of see how this system reacts. It's pretty quiet. When the fans kick on, though, these fans can get pretty noisy for a little box like that. I also wanted to show you an experiment that I did with this thing called powerlifting. That's Bluetti's like secret tool in order to run non-resistant loads like heaters and stuff at a higher watts than what this little box normally can do. This is normally a 600 watt box. Now because the screen turned on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the app. Now this is a very nice feature of this power station. This is the first power station that I have that actually has an app. So I'm very, very happy to have that. That's a new technology, if you will, for me. Let me see if I can put that somewhere here. I don't want to block anything. Let's put it here and then remove these little guys over here so the heat doesn't get to them. Okay, hopefully it's still all on camera. Okay, so now as you can see, we have 80 volts from the PVs coming in. That's a solar panel. And then DC's off, AC's off, and nothing from the grid. So what we'll do is, let's show you that real quick. While we got this out here, I'm going to put this into, let's see. My workbench is awfully cluttered today. Okay, so we're going to plug this bad boy here into the grid. Now remember, this is only 110 volts for this grid. There, if you can hear the fan. Can you hear that? So that's kind of the vibration of the fan. And it might be because it's sitting a little uneven, but that fan can make a little bit of noise. Okay, so let's plug this guy here. It might be, like I said, it might be because it's unbalanced on the table. As you can see, it wiggles a little bit, but it does have a little bit of a noise generating kind of sound coming from the fan. All right, so we're going to plug this guy in here, and this is the input, sorry. 110 volts is all I'm using, though, because this is actually hooked to my other power station. So here we can turn this guy on here, just so you can see the screen. And now notice that the grid picked up 185 watts. And this will probably go up a little bit more, 187. And then this is coming in at 80. So if I disconnect the solar, okay, now you can dual charge this thing, but if I disconnect the solar, let's see what that does. Now notice how that spikes up, guys? Okay, because you're limited to how much you can put in here unless you go to like turbo mode. So let's try that. which is the charging. So notice that that's about 265. It might go up a little bit more, but about 265, 266. See, it kind of inches up a little bit. But if you go in here in the setting, and then you go see the charging mode, I always have it on standard. I like standard because standard is the normal, traditional way. The silent is really nice if you need to keep this as quiet as possible, then the fans don't kick on and it charges kind of better. If you have a lot of time and you're charging this at night, go ahead and put it on silent. See how quiet it got? It's much quieter on the silent. I don't have it on silent, it's just that it cooled down enough to where this is what it would be like on silent. So let's see, let's go to turbo mode. Now when you go to turbo mode, it says swiftly change to full at a 350 watt max charging rate. Always keep your device ready to go. Okay, recommend to activate this mode only when urgent power is needed for the sake of the battery lifespan. So what happens, guys, is you're overpowering this little battery as far as the charging method. So we're going to go ahead and do it for the test. We're going to do it for the science of it. And now notice that, see that spike up there, guys? So now you're all the way up to, look at 430 from the grid. Now that's going to charge this bad boy awfully quick. And that's basically what you're doing, is you're forcing that energy, extra energy, into that battery at 436 watts here and 430 here. I've noticed that it's not 100% the same on both. I don't know if that maxes out at 430 and it's actually coming in a little bit more. But normally it's like 430, but this says 433 and 435. But notice these numbers, guys. Watch how fast those numbers will rise. So this is good if you really have an emergency, or you have to, I have to have power now. You know what I mean? Like you're about to leave and you only got about 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes to charge it real quick before you head out. You'll see, I'll let it go up maybe 1 or 2 more percents while I'm yapping here. And that way, see, now it's at 69, and then that turned to 69. So that's how quick that turbo mode is really going in. However, that does deteriorate these batteries faster, so you have to always remember that. And I don't recommend doing that very often. We're doing it for the sake of science here, the test. Let it go to 70 real quick, just so you can see in real time the speed of that. See, 70, just by my timing is perfect. It went to 70, so let's do one more. And then that way you can get an idea in your mind of how fast. See, it says 433 here, but only 430 there. So we'll let it go to 71. Hopefully that'll stay on the screen. Okay, let's see. It says 0.1 hours, so that's 1/10 of an hour, which is, I'm guessing, about 6 minutes, if that's 1/10 of an hour. If I'm adding correctly, I believe that's 6 minutes. I could be wrong with that. I think it's 6 minutes. There, see, 71. So see how fast it charges? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn that off, the turbo mode. Like I said, that's only good. Now watch that drop back down from 430. See, 285, 271. And then, of course, when you put back in your solar, you're going to plug that in here, and then you'll watch the grid drop down and the PVs pick up. And that's kind of what is nice about that is, if you do have this plugged in both ways and using it for a UPS, it does take the PV over the grid. So that's nice. That's nice. It's almost like a proprietary thing where it says, okay, well, you're getting more from the grid, you might as well take it. Like, why pay the extra money for the grid if you're getting it in free from the solar panel? So that's actually a nice thing. I like that. And it's already pre-set up for that, so you don't have to really, fidget through settings or anything. It's just designed to where if this would come in at 200, you'd only get a little bit more on the grid. And I think that's nice. And then you have the built-in UPS, which it's active right away when you go from the grid. So as soon as this gets to 100%, it flows the energy right through. Now I'm going to let you hear the fans real quick. As you can hear, they picked up quite a bit. For a small box, it does have a very loud fan, just so you're aware of that. We're bringing in 183 and 80, which is approximately, was at 260. Yeah, about 260 watts plus. 73%. So you notice that the screen doesn't stand very long either, guys. But this is a really neat little power station if you need something like really, really small and light and portable. Something like this is very nice. The little Pecron I have too, that's very nice too. But we'll let that go for a second, and then I want to show you one more test that I'm learning about, which is called the powerlifting. And I have to put that in quotes because that is Bluetti's special terminology for like boosting energy, and I'll show you kind of how that works. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put this guy over here so we can watch this, okay? And then let's see, we're gonna take this out. So we're gonna take the solar out, okay? Because you don't want to have a bunch of stuff in there when you go and, you know, I'm gonna pop this on purpose. I'm gonna overpower it on purpose. And then what you can do is you can pull the AC from the wall, okay, and then close that back up nice. Put that over here, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of these guys. Now, guys, if you don't have one of these yet, go and get one of these. This is probably one of the most important tools I've ever found for solar, or your house for that matter. And you plug that right in here over the light. Now, since the light doesn't work anyway on this model until I get it replaced with the circuit board, if Bluetti sends me that, or when they send me that, very simple fix, by the way. But that's why we do the reviews, to test this stuff, to make sure that you're, you know, getting a product that's ready to go, you know, out the factory door. That's the whole purpose of a review. We're not an infomercial commercial place. We're not a commercial. We are a testing review channel, and I put stuff to the test because I want to see if it'll last, not only for you guys but for me too, because I love this technology, and ever since I learned about it, I've absolutely been captivated by what it you know, the possibilities can do. Like I run my entire shop off these little power stations. I run my entire RV and my van off this power stations. Not this one in particular, but other power stations that are bigger, of course, because you need more power for that. But something that, you know, you're going to the beach and you want to hear, you know, your phone for a long time, portable projector or something like that. You toss it on a wall at night out in a campfire or something like that. All kinds of things. Just a light. Well, that'll have a light on there when it works, you know, obviously. Okay, so we're going to turn this on, okay, and we're going to watch this in real time, and I want to show you what this power lifting does. So I'm going to turn on the AC, and I'm going to turn on the DC, so I have the entire system 100%. We're at 0 time, 0 watts, 0 power. The hertz is, obviously, we can test it. It says 60 hertz. Which this little guy, you can go into the settings and you can see it's coming out at 119.1 volts at 60 hertz. Let's switch that back to wattage here, because this has a lot of stuff. It also tracks the cost. If you program in the cost of what you pay per kilowatt, guys, that's a neat item. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. We're going to plug this thing in here. This is a big RV kind of extension cable here that basically has a one big port here, which is an AC receptacle, so we'll plug that in here, and on the other side it has 3. I can barely get it on camera because the wires are so tight here, but there you have 1, 2, 3, which is the 3 heaters that I have in front of you. I have a 400 watt, a 200 watt, and a 200 watt, which is obviously, guys, more than what this is intended to run, right? It's only supposed to run 600 watt inverter in there, but they have a thing called power lifting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off for a second. I'm going to turn this on, and this on, so we can spike the system right away. Okay, so you turn on the AC inverter and watch what happens to the system when this power lifting, see, it's not on. So we're going to go back here, okay, and hopefully you can see all this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit, when I hit this button, all 3 of these are going to shoot on, and right away the power is going to surge way more than what this little box can handle. We're going to do it twice just so you can see, okay. All right, so this will kick on. Notice that that one, and that one all kicked on. You can see the little lights, and there you go. See? Overload. See that? I don't know if you can see that. It says overload. AC is flashing. That means obviously it doesn't have enough power to run that. So if you just hit this button, see how that resets it? And then you turn on the AC again. Like I said, I'm going to try it twice. I'm going to push the system to the max so you guys can see what to expect. Okay, so here, you push the button again, and notice that it starts shooting up 6, see, and overload right away. It cannot get these running. Now, powerlifting is a mode that I don't recommend unless you're in an emergency or you need power right now. But if you have this powerlifting set, okay, so let's go here, and then you go to the powerlifting, okay, right there, and you hit that, okay, and it says suitable for powering 1200 watts max heating devices, peer resistive load. These are heating devices, guys. So just in case, like emergency, if you were stranded in your car and you need this for heat, this would probably run one of these little guys from, you know, maybe an hour or two. Yeah, possibly about an hour and a half or so on a small one, and then maybe 30 or 45 minutes. However, that amount of heat that you can generate could save your fingers from frostbite or something like that. That's where these little things become a lifesaver. Okay, the rated output power remains 600 watts. So I'm going to explain how they do that. And then it says, do not power refrigerators, air conditioner, etc. So things with compressors, it's very bad for a compressor to underpower it. So I'm going to turn this on now. Okay, so you can see that the power lifting is on. We're going to go back to the screen here. That's very, very easy to read. And then I'm going to use this button this time because I like that little app thing. I think it's cool. Now remember, this is on, and this is on. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how that this is able to power all these devices. Okay, so we're going to turn the AC on through the app once. Okay, well, actually, for fairness, let's turn it on here, and then I'll use the app next time. But let's turn this on the same way before, so all the tests are the same. One click to turn the screen on, and then another click activates the AC. And notice that this is on, and this is on. But notice it's still running, guys, right? This is active, and this is active. Here you can kind of see that light's on, you can hear it. This light's on, you can hear it. And then, of course, this is a bigger one. This is a 400 watter. That's on, and you can hear it. So now we have 400, 200, and 200. However, we're only putting out 388 watts, and you can confirm that kind of here. Now, how it's able to do that is that was one major thing I wanted to find out, is how is this little box able to put out 1200 watts or up to 1200 watts with such a small, and then here's another one here, 384. So you have three kind of same different numbers, you know, they're close enough. How it works is if you use this little thing here, these are only $10, and if you click this over to the hertz, now this is where you're going to see everything. Okay, notice the hertz is still 60, so it's still up, pure sine wave signal. But look at what the voltage did, guys. It went all the way down to under 80 volts. This is a horrible voltage for electronics. That's why it said pure resistive load only, which is heaters. Okay, don't use this for any other. I don't recommend this for any other items other than a heater, and heaters don't last long at all. I would recommend only for like an emergency situation where you have to get out of trouble or whatever. Then I would recommend the power lifting, or an emergency situation like that. But notice that voltage, guys. Holy cow, right? So here, I'll turn off one. Now notice that voltage, it just shot up, right? And then I'll turn off another one, and notice that voltage shot up, right? So once you go past 600 watts, how it is able to run all that is it drops the voltage down really, really far, guys. Almost to a dangerous level, in my opinion, but these will run fine. But now if you click that back on, right? Let's click this one back on, and you'll watch that voltage in real time. Look at that. It sags very, very low, right? That's how they're able to do their power lifting. And then you turn on the third one here, right? So that should be 2, 4, 6, 8. This should be 800 watts of stuff. But look at that, went down to 70 volts, guys. Now once they get running, and it's almost like a soft start on an air conditioner. If you ever heard that, they kind of rev up, and now look at, we're down to 73 volts. This doesn't have the voltage on there, but here's your output, 368, 369, but 75 volts, guys. That's how the power lifting works. So I don't recommend this, guys, all the time. And notice that when you turn those guys off and you just turn on, like say one of these here, you can notice that the voltage sag drops a little bit, which is normal, right? That's normal. And then you turn on 2, see, it's normal. But then as soon as you hit that third one and go more than 600 watts, that voltage drops like a rock. So I only recommend this, guys, for emergencies, as I said. You can obviously do whatever you like. I mean, it'll be your power station if you buy one, so you can always do whatever you like. But I personally, I would not recommend. And then there's your high. That's the high that you brought out. I would not recommend using that powerlifting mode unless it's an absolute essential thing that you have to have. And then make sure you get one of these guys. If you don't have this, it's in my description. It's under the must-have devices, because you know they're like 10 or 12 bucks depending on what the sale is at that time. And as you can see, I have the wall lined up with them. There's quite a few over there. There's 3 there, and I have more over there. And every device that I test and use, I can put it on each one, and then I can have a real-time output. And it's a real easy to reset, guys. You get this little stick and you just poke them like that. They're very, very, very important thing to have when you do solar or electronic of any kind, or you're testing any kind of devices. Okay, so we're going to plug back in the solar and see how that reacts. So we should have a little bit more sun now. Here's the voltage coming in. You can see that. Move this out of the way here. Okay, solar's picking up. The AC is on, so we don't need that. Turn that off and then turn that off. The buttons you got to kind of push a little hard. They're kind of clicky, if you know what I mean. You hear it? It's kind of clicky. So maybe that'll break in over time, but the buttons are very good if you just give it a stern push. And then, like I said, I'm still waiting for the response from Bluetti with this light. That's the first review that I did for Bluetti, and unfortunately I received a power station with a defective light or a board in there that burned out the first time. Other than that, every part of this works very well. I don't recommend the power lifting. That's just an opinion, but everything else works fine. I haven't had any issues as far as shutting down. Let me unplug this stuff here. One of those cables are tough to unplug. This is a really nice thing to have if you want to go multiple, or you can use a power strip, and that way you can have multiple on a very big heavy. This is a big heavy 20 amp cable, and you plug it in there and then you can put your loads in here. But this is obviously overkill for something of this size. You're not going to be pulling this kind of power out of a power station. I just have this from my RV, and that way I can pull out basically heavy loads, you know, when I need them and I'm outside. I also wanted to show you one other thing. Is in the other video that I uploaded, as you can see here, I want to try to get this on screen here. On their website, this is a 22.4 volt system, okay, battery configuration. But I noticed that on their website, guys, nowhere in here does it say that. So it's just a little bit of extra info in case you know, you're interested in one of these products or whatever. But I always want to get all the tech specs out there. So this basically, if you're a baseball fan out there, a football fan, you get the cards with all the little stats on it and everything. And this is my card stats, if you will. So I love looking at this stuff. But notice here in battery capacity is 268.8 watt hours, 12 amp hour battery, but it doesn't say 22.4 volt cycle setup. It's not cycle setup, I apologize. Battery setup, which is how they arrange the cells to come up with 22.4 volts. The only place that I saw it was on the bottom. If I can unplug this for a second here. The only place that I saw this, let's turn this off just to be safe. You don't want to go flipping around stuff electronic when it's on, you know. It probably won't hurt it, but it certainly doesn't help it. So if you look on the bottom of this thing, it'll say right there, very hard to read, it says 22.4 volts at 12 amp hour battery. And that's not listed anywhere on the website. It's not listed anywhere on the manual. I actually wrote it in there. If you guys remember the other video that I did, I actually wrote it in here because as a reviewer, if you will, as a, you know, giving my opinion on these products, I want to always keep track of everything that I say, because, you know, every little bit of information is important. So I wrote 22.4 volts inside here, and then the power for the light. And I did confirm this now with Tim from the Tim and Mia from the Bluetti live stream, as I asked him live last night. That I wanted to make sure that low uses 1 watt and 2 uses high uses 2 watts and SOS uses 1. And Tim was able to confirm this with another version of the, not the other version, but another model EB3A that he had on his live stream. And I was able to confirm that with him. And then I explained to him that when I first did my first review, this shot up all the way to 5 5 watts, and that was obviously definitely kind of overkill for this LED. So I don't know if it burned out the light or burned out the board, but it certainly looks like there's a small little burn mark on the board, which means too much power goes to the LED and boop, it burns out. But I don't see it anywhere on here as far as the light wattage, or like I said up here where it doesn't say 22.4. So I think that's you know, 2 things that could be added to the website just for you know, full disclosure as far as, you know, what they're using. All the outputs are all regulated, as you can see, so you have full regulated outputs over here on the DC, and that way if you have a battery that's about to, like, literally, you know, it's called DOD, the depth of discharge. I can't say it all the time, but depth of discharge. This will still remain at the same voltage until this battery's 100% dead. That's good for when you plug in stuff, because if this voltage starts dropping, as you saw with the heaters, sometimes that messes with electronic equipment. Now let's second. You can also turn the system off here just by touching that button. Communication disconnect. Okay, so I already turned it off. So one nice thing is you can turn the system off. However, you cannot turn the system on until you hit the button. This screen, when you click it, notice that popped up right away, guys. Hopefully you can see that. That's the Bluetooth in the machine. If you don't click this button at least once, that Bluetooth will not turn on. But you can turn it off by hitting this button, right? Or actually, wait a minute. Let me go back to the, make sure the power lifting's off. Okay, power lifting. See, that's still on. I don't like that, guys. I turn that off, but I keep it off unless, like it says, emergency. Charging mode is still standard. LED light is off. And the eco mode, I don't use the eco mode. I recommend this, guys, if you forget to turn this off. Obviously it's going to eat up your power all night long, so you can, you know, click that on. You can see it'll say eco up here. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even have it on the screen. Okay, it'll say eco up here, and then you can select anywhere from 1 to 4 hours as far as how long you want it before it automatically shuts off this inverter, and then it shuts down the system to save that power. I leave everything off, guys. I'm a very simple guy. I do like a power station that you can, like, literally turn on, use, and then turn off. Here's your power button. So if you go like that, and obviously it'll say, are you sure you want to turn this device off? Please note you will not be able to power on your Bluetti device with the app. You have to turn it off. You can turn it off now. So it gives you a timer in case you hit it on accident. The little timer goes down. So if you power that off, that'll shut down. And then it says done, and then you'll see this go gray. And when it's gray, that means that all the communications and all the inverters are shut down. But right now, guys, it's $210. I'm still waiting on the feedback and the response from Bluetti with this light. It's unfortunate that the first box they sent me had a defect, but guys, like I said, no company is perfect. I've had 4 different companies, I think 4, maybe possibly even more companies on this website. And all of them at one time or another had a defect in their products. That's what the reviews are for, is to make sure that you don't get the defect, or if they notice something, they can fix it or update it, and that way, you know, you get a better product in the long run. Okay, I think that's all for this update. I just wanted to check that power lifting and show you how that works, and then I wanted to show you the little charging. So, like, if this is off, and you just plug it in, you don't have to turn on. Notice it instantly turns on, right? It instantly turns on. And then that'll go back to this. This you have to reset every time, guys. But, so that'll pop on, it'll turn green again. And there you go. So as soon as you plug this in there, even if it's off, it'll literally just turn on. So if I hold this down, and you'll watch this go dark. Well, actually, you got to unplug this first. You hold this down. If you have any power going into the system, it won't allow you to shut down for obvious reasons. And then this will turn gray. See? So now it's 100% off. So when you charge your solar or your AC, you just plug it in. The system absolutely automatically recognizes it instantly and says, hey, there's power coming in here. The MPPT talks to the BMS, talks to the batteries, talks to the solar panels, and then basically says, okay, this is what we have coming in, this is what we should do, and then instantly pops on. But notice that this does not pop on. You have to go back and you have to activate it again through the app, and then it kicks on that fast, and it shows 85 watts coming in from the solar. This isn't much, guys, but like I said, it's still early in the morning. It's about I don't know, maybe about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I have a panel out there. It's just kind of flopped out there. It's laying flat on the ground, just so I can have a small power coming, because I don't have any small arrays. Everything is 48 volts or higher, and this will not accept anything that high. It only goes up to 28 volts. So this is definitely good for a 12 volt panel or a few in parallel, but I wouldn't recommend series, because it'll push that voltage up too far, guys. And then that'll cut off at a certain amount. I believe it was, let me see here, I think it was 200 and, let me see here, AC, DC input. Okay, so 200 watts max. So it'll only allow 8.5 amps at 200 watts max, anywhere between 12 and 28 volts DC. So that's a configuration you have to figure out for yourself as far as what kind of panels and how many you want to use. Don't go past 28 volts. I always like to stay a little bit less than that for safety. Just something I like to do. It's called headroom, and that way you have a little bit extra in case there's a power spike. You never know. You just never know. And then 8.5 amps is the most that it'll allow through this little cable. The little cables, they heat up a little bit when you get all the way up. There's a little bit of heat. I don't know if I can, let me see if I can test that here. Okay, let me turn this on. Okay, and then I'll put it on the system itself, okay, right in the middle, and you see it's 94 degrees, but we did do a lot of overpowering and testing and stuff, so the top has got a little bit of heat, see, 100 watts, or 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the port is normally where you get the most heat, is right around there when you're charging it, and that's only at 91, so you can see that the extra heat that's still in there, guys, is from the overpowering and the power lifting that we did with the model, so it has to cool down a little bit. But overall, guys, this is a very, very fun small power station. I think it's perfect for, you know, like I said, small camping, not big stuff, laptops, phones, LED string lights, you know, things like that. And if you want to charge something, you can run a heater like that for, you know, maybe about an hour, hour and a half, depending how big the heater is, of course. And you know, that could save your fingers if you have you know, very close to frostbite. If you're out there in the chilly time and you're fishing, you know, you turn that on for 5 minutes and you turn it off, your fingers are good again, you go back to fishing, you turn it on for another 5 minutes, and then you carry on like that. Very, very neat little box, guys. All right, this is update number 2 of the Bluetti EB3A 268 watt-hour power station. All right, guys, ramble on, be safe, and I'll talk to you again at Ramblin Bob Reviews. Bye.